AI can write code. Don't waste your future writing what AI can generate. Learn to think, review, debug, build, create systems. The future belongs to system architects.
Welcome to PlayOwnAi.
Python, conditional statements and control flow. If, elif, else, match case, goal. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to 1. Understand and implement if, else, and elif statements for decision making. 2. Write nested if statements to evaluate layered and dependent conditions. 3. Use the match case statement for clean and modern pattern matching. 4. Structure complex logic using proper Python indentation rules. 5. Handle multiple scenarios like grading systems, user roles, and calculators. 6. Trace the execution flow of conditional blocks to debug code effectively. 7. Write cleaner, more readable decision-making code in Python 8.8. Practice real AI coding examples for routing agent logic outcome. Confidently design and implement complex decision-making logic in Python using basic conditionals, nested structures, and modern pattern matching, ensuring clean and predictable code execution. Final goal. Build a strong Python foundation for AI chatbots, LM applications, AI agents, RAG systems, MECCP servers, and intelligent automation by mastering how AI programs make decisions, route logic, and handle multiple execution paths. We're going to learn one of the most important concepts in Python, the if statement. The if statement, if statement allows our program to make decisions. It checks whether a condition is true or false. If the condition is true, Python executes the code inside the if block. If the condition is false, Python simply skips that block and continues with the rest of the program. Let's understand how Python executes an if statement. Every Python program starts by executing statements from top to bottom. First, the program initializes variables or receives input from the user. Next, Python evaluates the condition inside the if statement. If the condition is true, Python enters the block and executes the indented code. If the condition is false, Python skips the entire if block. After either path, Python continues executing the next statement in the program. Finally, when there are no more statements to execute, the program ends. Example 1 print. Example 1. Age 20 if age 18. Print, you are an adult. First, we print the heading example 1 so we know which example is running. Next, we create a variable called age and assign it the value 20. Then we write our first if statement. The condition is age greater than or equal to 18? Since 20 is greater than 18, the condition is true. Because the condition is true, Python executes the indented line and prints, you are an adult. Notice the indentation. Every line inside the if statement must be indented, usually with 4 spaces. This tells Python which code belongs to the if block. Example 2 print. Example 2. Temperature 2 temp 35, if temperature G, print. It's a hot day. Here we first print a blank line using, and then print example 2. The is called the new line character. It moves the cursor to the next line, making our output easier to read. Next, we create a variable named temperature and assign it the value 35. Now the condition is temperature greater than 30? Since 35 is greater than 30, the condition is true. Therefore, Python prints, it's a hot day. If the temperature had been 25, nothing inside the if block would have been executed. Example 3 print. Example 3. Marks U85. If marks UG 80. Print grade A. Now we're checking a student's marks. We store 85 in the variable marks. Then Python checks, are the marks greater than or equal to 80? Since 85 is greater than 80, the answer is yes. So Python prints, grade A. This is a common example of using if statements in grading systems. Example 4, print. Example 4, number 2, 10. If number 0, print, positive number. Here we create a variable called number and assign it the value 10. The condition asks, is the number greater than 0? Since 10 is greater than 0, Python prints, positive number. If the number were negative or 0, this message would not appear. This type of condition is frequently used when validating user input. Example 5 print. Example 5. Age 25. Salary Chagi 50,000 if age 18 and salary 8,000 print loan approved. This example introduces the AND operator. We have two variables, age 25, salary JT 50,000. The condition contains two separate checks. The first check asks, is the age at least 18? The answer is yes. The second check asks, is the salary at least 30,000? Again, the answer is yes. The word in means both conditions must be true. Since both conditions are true, Python prints loan approved. If either one of these conditions were false, Python would skip the print statement. Example 6 print. Example 6. Balance 10,000 withdraw KTAL 3,000 if balance Uchichi withdraw. Print transaction successful. This example simulates a simple banking transaction. We have an account balance of 10,000. The customer wants to withdraw 3,000. Python checks, is the account balance greater than or equal to the withdrawal amount? Since 10,000 is greater than 3,000, there is enough money in the account. Therefore, Python prints transaction successful in a real banking application. If the balance were smaller than the withdrawal amount, the transaction would be rejected. Learn about FL statements in Python, a very important way to make decisions in code. I've already seen basic EF statement, which runs a block of code only when a condition is true. But what if want to do one thing when condition is true and something else when it's false? That's where EFL comes in. Here's definition. EFL statement in Python lets handle both outcome, true and false. If condition is true, one block of code runs. If it's false, other block runs. This gives full control over your logic. Let's look at syntax if condition colon. Then indent and write true block. Next, else colon. Then again indent and write false block. So Python knows exactly what to do in both cases. In Python, indentation is required. Make sure code under if and else is properly indented, usually 4 spaces. Let's now understand how AFL statement works behind scenes using this flowchart. At top, program starts just like every Python script. First thing it encounters is condition. This is diamond-shaped C here, and it asks a question like, is age greater than or equal to 18, or is password correct? Now 2 paths are possible. If condition is true, flow moves downward. It enters code in if block and runs that piece of code. But if condition is false, it moves to right side. It enters code in else block and executes that instead. Once either block finishes, flow comes back together and continues with rest of program. So AFL structure always chooses one block to run, not both. Let's now go to PyCharm and create a file. Right-click your folder. Choose New Arrow Python file. Let's call it EFL statement demo. Let's start with a simple example using age. Let's type age equals 18. Now want to check if person is an adult. So write if age greater than or equal to 18 colon. So here make sure that have 4 spaces. PyCharm automatically provides it for us. Next, indented line print within a double quotes type are an adult. Then write else colon. So here make sure that have moved to start. Else block should start from beginning. Next, indented line print within a double quotes type are not an adult. Let's run program and check output. Are an adult. Since age is 18, condition is true, and C are an adult. Now let's try another example with marks. Marks equals 45. Next, if marks greater than or equal to 50, next print passed test. Else print failed test. Let's run it. Can see output failed test. Since marks is 45, else block runs output failed test. Let's now say one more example with strings. Let's type username equals within double quotes admin. Now let's check if username double equals double quotes admin colon. Print within a double quotes type access granted. Else colon print within a double quotes type access denied. Let's run this. Output is access granted. Change username to guest and try again. It will print access denied. That's power of if fails cover both paths and guide your program based on conditions. Let's quickly wrap up. If fail statement allows to run one block if condition is true and another if it's false. And remember, indentation matters. Always indent properly or Python will show an error. Can use numbers, strings, or Boolean conditions inside your if fail statements. In next lecture, go deeper into elif, which lets check multiple conditions one after other. I'll see you in next one. Learn about elif statement in Python, which helps handle multiple conditions in a clean and readable way. Have already learned about if and if-else statements where handle just one condition or 2 possibilities. But what if want to check more than 2 options? For example, if a student scores above 90, they get an A. If it's above 75, it's a B. Above 50, it's a C. And anything below 50 is a fail. This is where elif comes in short for else, if. It lets chain multiple conditions one after another. Let's define it clearly. Elif statement in Python lets check multiple conditions one after other. Python checks each condition from top to bottom. And as soon as it finds a true, it runs that block and skips rest. Let's now look at syntax. If condition colon, then write indented code for that block. Then write elif condition colon, and another indented block for that. Can have as many ellipses as want, and finally can end with an optional else block for everything that didn't match earlier. Remember, Python uses indentation to know which code belongs to which block, so always use 4 spaces for indentation. Python will check each condition from top to bottom, and only one block will run first match. This diagram shows exactly how Python processes multiple conditions using if, elif, and else. Let's walk through it step by step, just like Python would. At top, program starts as always. First thing Python hits is if condition, represented by this diamond box. This condition could be something like, is score greater than 90, or is user an admin? If that condition is true, Python immediately goes down left path, executes code inside if block, and then skips everything else, elif and else. It doesn't even look at them. Once block finishes, program continues with rest of script. But if condition is false, Python follows arrow to right and checks next condition, which is written using elif. That's second diamond shape here. Now Python evaluates elif condition. If this condition is true, it goes straight down and runs code inside elif block. Again, it skips else. After that, only one block runs, whichever condition is matched first. Now if elif condition is also false, Python continues along right path to final block, else block. This is default block that runs when none of conditions matched. That's beauty of elif. And keep checking conditions in order, and Python picks first match only. Now let's see elif statement in an action. Let's go PyCharm ID and go project. Right-click on your project folder, choose new and select Python file. Let's name it elif statement demo. First, let's define score with type. Score equals 78. This means students scored 78 out of 100. Now want to check their grade using conditions. Let's start by checking for top grade. Let's type if score is greater than or equal to 90 colon. This condition checks if score is 90 or more. If this is true, want to print grade A. So indent and type print in double quotes grade A. Since 78 is less than 90, this block will be skipped. Now add another condition to check if score is 78 or above. Let's type elif score is greater than or equal to 75 colon. This checks if student qualifies for grade B, and since our score is 78, this condition is true. Now indent and type print in double quotes grade B. That line will run and see grade B as output. Let's move on. Even though have more conditions below, they won't be checked because Python already found a match. But let's write them anyway to complete grading logic. Next, type elif score is greater than or equal to 50 colon. This is for students who score between 50 and 74. If true, type print in double quotes grade C period. But remember, in our case, this won't run because 78 already matched previo condition. Finally, write fallback. In case none of above conditions are true, type elif colon. Then indent and type print in double quotes fail. Now let's run program. We'll see output grade B because 78 is greater than or equal to 75. So that's condition Python. Let's change score to 45 and run it again. Now output will say fail because none of if or elif conditions matched, so Python runs else block. Let's recap. If checks first condition. Elif lets add more conditions, and else handles everything else. Python picks first true condition and skips rest. Let's see one more example that shows a custom welcome message based on user's role like admin, editor, or viewer. Use if, elif, and else statements to handle logic. First, define role of user type role equals inside double quotes admin. Now check user's role and show a message based on that. Let's write our first condition type if role double equals inside double quotes admin colon. Then on indented line type print inside double quotes welcome admin. This condition checks whether user's role is admin. If true, Python prints welcome admin. Now let's add another condition in case role is editor type elif role double equals inside double quotes editor colon. Then indent and type print inside double quotes welcome editor. This will only run if role is exactly editor. Now let's check for another valid role viewer type, elif role double equals inside double quotes viewer colon. Then indent and type print inside double quotes welcome viewer. Finally, let's write ls block, which will run when role doesn't match any known type else colon. Then indent and type print inside double quotes unknown role. Let's now run program since set role to admin output will be welcome admin. Now let's change role to editor and run it again. Python prints welcome editor, try viewer, and output will be welcome viewer, and if set role to something like guest else block runs and see unknown role. So this is how handle multiple conditions using if elif and else. Only one block will execute first condition that matches here's. What learned in this lecture, elif statement allows to check multiple conditions in a structured way. Python evaluates them one by one from top to bottom. Only first matching conditions block is executed use if followed by one or more elif and end with an optional else. Proper indentation is required under each block. That's it for this one. In next lecture, explore nested if statements and how to use conditions inside conditions. 4. Nested if statement. Python. Now explore the nested if statement in Python, a powerful way to make layered decisions in our programs. We've already learned about the basic if and if else statements, but sometimes we want to check another condition only if the first one passes. That's exactly where nested if helps us. So what is nested if statement? A nested if is when you place one if statement inside another if block. This lets you check multiple related conditions one after the other in a step-by-step manner. Python will only check the second condition if the first condition is true. Let's walk through this syntax together. If keyword followed by condition 1 and then colon. This is the outer if statement. Python checks this condition first. If it's true, then the code block under it will be considered. Inside this block, we write if keyword followed by condition 2 and then colon. This is the nested if. It only gets checked if the outer condition was true. We're narrowing down the decision based on a second rule. This part runs when both condition 1 and condition 2 are true. Only then do we enter this exact line. Now comes the else part for the nested condition. This else belongs to condition 2, meaning if condition 1 is true, but condition 2 is false. We run the code inside this else. Now if condition 1 itself is false, we need a final fallback. So outside the first if at the same level we write else colon. This handles everything that didn't match the first if. Okay, so this part runs when condition 1 is false. Python ignores everything inside the first if and jumps straight here. And that's the full structure of nested if else in Python. You can nest as many statements as needed, but always make sure to keep the indentation clean and logical. Let's take a simple real-life example. Imagine you're writing a program that checks if someone is eligible to vote and also checks if they have a valid ID. So, the first condition could be, is the person 18 or older? If yes, then we go inside and check another condition. Do they have a valid ID? That second check is what we call the nested if. Alright, let's write some Python code to understand this better. Let's name it nested if statement demo. Let's type the code line by line. Let's begin age equals 20. This sets the age of the person to 20. We'll use this variable in our first condition. Now we type if age greater than or equal to 18 colon. We're checking if the person is 18 or older. That's our outer condition. Now inside this if block, let's declare another variable. Let's type has ID equals true. This variable tells us whether the person has an ID card. Here we have set it to true, which means the person does have an ID. Now comes the nested if. Let's type if has ID colon. We're saying if the person has an ID, then we'll allow them to vote. So inside this block, we type print within double quotes type you are eligible to vote. That's the final action. If both age is 18 and has ID is true, we show this message. Now, let's also handle the else part inside the nested block. Let's type else followed by colon. Inside that we type print within double quotes type. You need an ID to vote. Now outside the outer if block, just for clarity, let's add an outer else block. Let's type else followed by colon. Inside it print within double quotes type. You must be at least 18 to vote. Now let's understand what this does. First it checks if the age is 18 or above. If yes, then it goes inside and checks if the person has an ID. If that's also true, it prints you are eligible to vote. If the person doesn't have an ID, it says you need an ID to vote. But if the person is younger than 18, it doesn't even check the ID. It directly prints, you must be at least 18 to vote. That's the logic of a nested if. Now let's run the program, and here you can see the output. You are eligible to vote. Perfect. Now change the hazard to false. In this case, the else part of the inner if statement executes. Okay. Next, rerun the program and you can see the output. You need an ID to vote. Now change the age to 15. In this case, the else part of the outer if statement executes. Okay. So rerun the program and you can see the output. You must be at least 18 to vote. Perfect. Now let's try another example now based on student scores. So here let's type score equals 85. We want to first check if the score is greater than or equal to 60 to see if the student passed. We type if score greater than or equal to 60 colon. Inside this block, we check for a higher grade. So let's type if score greater than or equal to 80 colon. And inside this print within double quotes type you passed with distinction. Then we add an else for that type else colon. And then print within double quotes type you passed. Outside the outer, if we add another else block for failed students for that type else colon. And then print within double quotes type you failed the exam. Let's quickly summarize what we did. We used a nested if to check multiple conditions in a sequence. The outer condition checks if the student passed, the inner condition checks if they passed with distinction. That's how nested if helps you layer your logic in steps. Now let's run the program and you can see the output. You passed with distinction. Perfect. 5. Python match case statement. Going to explore one of most powerful features introduced in Python 3.1 and above. Match case statement. If you've ever used switch case in other languages like Java, C, or JavaScript, then we'll feel right at home. But Python's match case is actually more powerful than a traditional switch. It can match values, patterns, types, and even data structures. Learn how to use it in a clean step-by-step way. With multiple real-world examples, let's go. Let's begin with a simple example where user enters a day and program tells them whether it's a weekday or a weekend. First, let's take input from user. Let's type day equals input function within brackets, within double quotes type, enter a day, colon spacer. Next, call capitalized method, so dot capitalize. Here's what's happening. Input function displays prompt, enter a day, and stores whatever user types in day variable. Capitalized function makes sure first letter is uppercase and rest are lowercase, like Monday instead of Monday or Monday. This helps match value correctly later. Now, let's use match case structure. Let's type match keyword followed by day and then colon. This starts matching block where Python compares value of day against different cases. Let's add our first case. Type case double quotes, Monday, pipe symbol, Tuesday, pipe, Wednesday, pipe, Thursday, pipe, Friday, colon. Then indented line print function within double quotes type, it's a weekday dot. So if user enters any weekday from Monday to Friday, Python will print, it's a weekday. Next, write case double quotes Saturday, pipe, Sunday, colon, indented line, print function within double quotes type, it's weekend, exclamation. So if user types Saturday or Sunday, this block will run. Now, let's handle anything that doesn't match. Let's type case followed by underscore and then colon indented line print function within double quotes type invalid day, enter dot. This final case is like default. It runs when no other case matches. Let's now run program and test it. First, program asks enter a day, type Tuesday and press enter. Output is it's a weekday. Try again, run it again, and type Saturday. Now output is it's weekend. One more test, try typing Monday, which is not a real day. Output is invalid day entered. This is a very clean and readable way to check multiple exact values, and match case works only in Python 3.1 or later. Let's look at one more example. We'll build a simple calculator in Python using match case statement. Take user input, two numbers, and an operation, and perform right calculation based on what user chooses. Let's write a code for taking input from user. Let's type new mon equals int then input function with a message that says enter first number colon space. This line asks user to type a number. Since input always returns a string, wrap it in an int to convert input into an integer. Next, let's type num2 equals int then input with a message enter second number colon space. Just like before, this reads second number and converts it into an integer. Now ask user to choose an operation. So let's type operation equals input with a message that says enter operation ** or /:. This line saves operator like +, a string in variable called operation. At this point, have all input need. Now let's add match case logic to perform correct calculation. Let's type match followed by variable name operation then colon. This starts matching section, where Python will compare value of operation to different cases. Let's write our first case ::. On next line, let's type print function with message result : then number 1, PL2. This means if user typed a line, add 2 numbers and print result. Now let's handle subtraction. Next case, mincoln. Indented line print function with message result : minimum true. Same idea. If they chose minus, subtract. Let's do multiplication now. Let's type case : indented line print function with message result : numon, multiplied by num2. Next handle division. Write case : indented line print function with message result : numon, divided by num2. And finally, handle anything that doesn't match. Write case : indented line print function with message invalid operation. This acts as a fallback in case user types something other than 4 valid operations. Let's now run program and try a few inputs. Console asks enter first number. Type 10 and press enter. Next enter second number, type 5 and press enter. Then enter operation. Type PyCharm. Output will be result 15. That's correct. 10 PO5 is 15. Let's try again. Run it again. This time enter 20 and 4 and choose star symbol. Output will be result 80, which is correct. 20 times 4 equals 80. Try one more. Enter 9, then 3, and choose /. Output result 3. That's correct. 9 divided by 3 gives 3. If type an invalid symbol like %, or ampersand, we'll see invalid operation. Python handles all these cases are clearly using match case block. Let's recap example. Created a calculator that takes input from user. Used int to convert string input into numbers. Used a match case to decide which operation to perform. Add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Printed result and handled any invalid inputs gracefully. Match case is a clean and readable way to write condition checks. And it's available in Python 3.1 and later. Support line? Get assist? Stuck anywhere or feeling overwhelmed? No worries. Check the links in the description or leave a comment below. I personally reply whenever I can. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Python, AI, and automation tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Keep building!